This happened to me around Christmas of 2015. I detailed what happened on my private social media accounts, and several women have messaged me and told me that they went through nearly identical situations at the same bookstore. I was pursuing a bookstore in my city around Christmas time. I was alert and often looking out for men following me. But this particular time, I was curious to see that just around every corner, whether I was browsing in nonfiction or fiction, a pair of older women were behind me or brushing by me to get to a shelf that I had just been looking at. The first woman was probably in her 70s, with a very exaggerated limp and making grunting noises with every movement. The second woman was possibly in her 60s and talking extremely loud to her partner about, "Ooh, check out this book. Look at the cover. It's so beautiful, interesting, weird." It became clear to me right away that they were turning up in every aisle I was in, not even seconds after I'd pick up a book. What ended up giving me the creeps was that I made it to the last aisle of comics. I had no interest or intent to look, but I was testing to see if I was followed. Sure fucking enough, these women trailed behind me and started grabbing books. "Oh wow, look at how cool these little books are." I made eye contact with one of them and decided to bolt. One of the women, the younger of the two, was smiling widely at me, almost as if she recognized me. I leave the bookstore and paused at the front in order to let a car pass by, and then I hear an, "Excuse me, ma'am." I turn to see the woman walking up to me. One is still limping and now holding her shoulder as if she's in some kind of pain. The younger woman immediately begins saying in a very rushed, impatient voice, "Can you please help us? We have forgotten where we parked. I think it was somewhere towards the back. Can you please give us a ride around here until we see the car? Please, we're just a couple of old, fat ladies. We can't walk like we used to be able to." The last part threw me off. Who even says something like that unless it's some kind of weird guilt trip? Every alarm bell was going off in my head, and I just knew the limp was fake and their whole energy was shady. I was panicking, and I felt primal even. For the first time in my life, I yelled, "Fuck you," to a complete stranger. I ran back into the store, told a cashier who was a bigger, muscular guy who went out to check the situation, possibly to see if the woman did really need help. Saw them wave down a car driven by a younger-looking guy, as if they were waiting on him the whole time. They got in the car and left. Like I said earlier, there have been several more reports over the years of these women doing this at the same store. Always a pair of weird older women claiming that they need help to get to their car. Once they're refused or ignored, they get picked up anyway, I've heard. Now the bookstore has heightened security, but it gives me the creeps even to this day. I haven't heard anything about them in a while. I wonder what's happened, or if they've moved to a different spot. So this happened after work this past Christmas Eve. I work a later second shift from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. or until we're done. I should also mention that while the warehouse is in a nicer area, a couple blocks down, it gets sketchy at night. We got done around 2 a.m., and me and my one friend were the first out to the parking lot, and were standing there talking while we were warming up our cars. We were talking for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and during the time, I saw this small sedan drive slowly by, but I didn't think much of it because it was a little icy out, and I figured that they were just being cautious. But then I saw it slowly coming back down the road, came from west and pulled in, and parked in the parking lot across from us, which was strange because it's a welding shop parking lot, and no one is ever there past 10 p.m., besides police doing speed traps. At that point, I pointed it out to my friend, and he said that he noticed it as well and thought that it was weird. Then this big dude got out of the car and walked across the street over to me and my friend while the car he got out of drove off. He asked my friend for a smoke, and as he did that, I walked over to my car to start scraping it off, and so he would hopefully just not talk to me. But as soon as I stepped back out of my car with my wallet in hand so I could use one of my cards to scrape the windows, he called over to me. I didn't want to be rude, even though something felt off about the situation, but I just said fuck it. There's cameras watching me, and the rest of the workers should be out within 10 minutes, so I'll be fine. I'm 6 feet, 180 pounds soaking wet, and the dude was a good bit bigger than me. I'm guessing he was 6'2 to 6'4, and a solid 250 pounds plus. He was trying to make small talk with me, asking about what we do there, how it sucks that we have to work on Christmas Eve, just random bullshit like that. But I got the feeling he was sizing me up. So even though I have extreme social anxiety and can usually barely make eye contact even with people I know, I remembered my grandpa always telling me if I'm in a sketchy situation with someone to stand tall, chest out a bit, make direct eye contact the entire time. Essentially do whatever to make you look like you aren't scared or nervous, so you look like you're more trouble than you're worth. I saw him keep looking down towards my wallet, so I took a small step back so I could make sure that I was in view of the cameras. Then he said,
"So, hey man, do you think that you could give me a ride to my house? It's just right down the road. I ran out of gas at the store, and I need to go back to my house to get money."
Now, the grocery store he said his car ran out of gas at is about a mile down the road to the east, but yet the dude came from the west. And also, if he needed a ride to his house in the west, why wouldn't he have just gotten one from the person who came from that direction in the first place? I then remember reading online somewhere that around the holidays, people would do whatever they can to try to get someone to give them a ride, and then they force them to take them back to their house and rob them. At this point, I'm like, fuck this. This dude is trying to rob me, so I just walk backwards towards my car, since I know I have a giant utility knife under the seat, and tell him I'm good and to please get off our company property. And he was like,
"Come on, man, it's Christmas Eve,"
while looking visibly pissed, and I said, "That sucks, dude, get off the property." At this point, I'm at my car, and he can see me reaching under the seat. He then turns and walks away and disappears in the alley a block away. I then go over to my friend's car to tell him what happened, and he said that the dude was trying to get him to give him money for smokes, and then he tried to get him to give him a ride to the ATM. 2 days later, a picture of the same guy is on the local police department's Facebook page, asking for information on him because he was wanted in relation to a string of armed robberies that happened during Christmas week. This is my first post, but I just remembered this happened and wanted to share it before I forget again. Also, sorry for any spelling mistakes I may make. It was nearing Christmas of 2021, and by that I mean that it was mid-November. I live in the US, so Christmas and holiday items tend to go up in October. Being that I was, at the time, 16 female, I always try to get my shopping done early because a lot of my gifts were handmade. Some background. There are a lot of shops, small grocery stores, as well as the local uptown within walking distance of my house. It was at the uptown where this occurred. One of my brothers, Anthony, was really into music and learning different instruments, so I decided to go to the specific store in the uptown that sold music supplies. Because of my schedule, I wanted to be able to go well after 4 o'clock, which is when the sun started to set. In hindsight, I shouldn't have tried to go, but I was desperate enough to finish my gift shopping by the first week of December. I stopped at our local Dollar General to get some paint that I ran out of, then across the street to the Uptown for Anthony's music supplies. While crossing the street, I saw a large brown truck stopped at the intersection. I hadn't seen a truck of that color in tow or ever before, so it was pretty noticeable. I also noticed that it was turning into the Uptown parking lot, same as me. One thing about our Uptown is that the majority of it is bars and restaurants, so there were quite a lot of people mingling around some of the bars. It did make me a bit nervous, but the music store was close, so I just decided to tough it out. As I was entering the store, the brown truck slowly crept behind me. I was kind of spooked, but figured whoever it was just being careful of the people. The store didn't end up having what I needed, so I placed an order for the following week and left the shop. By now, it was well into dusk. As soon as I left, I saw the truck parked right outside the store. I brushed it off as that they were just in the store next to me and went to leave. As soon as I turned my back, I saw the lights of the truck go on and the engine roared to life. I basically peed myself right there. I turned to look at who was in the car, but the windows were so heavily tinted that I don't know how they were able to see. The car pulls out and slowly creeps towards me, and I am paralyzed. I figure I was going to be kidnapped and murdered right then and there. I found my nerve to run when the car was only 6 feet away, and I booked it down the sidewalk. The car started to go faster to match pace with me, and the people from the bars didn't seem to notice or care. I was crying at this point, and I didn't know what to do. That's when I saw my saving grace. I saw 2 ladies, a little younger than my mom, outside a coffee shop that just closed. They spotted me too, and I took a chance and ran up to them and told them the situation. The pink shirt coffee lady had to leave, but gave the key to the lady in the blue shirt who offered to let me stay inside the cafe until my mom could come get me. The brown truck drove past a few times, but then gave up and left the way it came in. My mom showed up minutes later. I thank the blue coffee lady for her help, and I still go to their shop regularly. Thank you so much to the pink and blue coffee ladies, because you probably saved my life. And to the people driving that brown truck, please, let's never meet again.